So good evening, everyone. So what I'll do today is that I think Amit and Gert both have set the stage on what exactly the product is and what does it do. So as a part of this particular presentation, what we'll do is we'll cover through how the things happen in reality, and we'll give you a brief overview through a demo perspective also, and just praying to the demo gods that things go well, but as you know, technology you can never be sure. Okay, when both Amit and Gert were focusing on the whole idea that the when we are creating any kind of a data project, be it through a data mesh kind of a style or any through a general analytics kind of a project, we need to build a story, and the story comes by a set of steps or set of utilities which are governed or done in various stages. Now, when we talk about a business story, and business analyst being one of the key elements when it comes to data analytics, the story starts from sourcing the data, basically how you can get data from various places, because within an organization, data is typically scattered across different technologies. The first step typically becomes like where you can connect to various sources and bring those data insights. Start analyzing those data sets. So basically, start building on top of it, where basically you do collect on certain kind of information and start building on your data story. After you have some basics on the data products or data entities, you start analyzing it. When we say analyzing, you basically do querying, you create certain visualization, you do certain kind of testing, and then finally you then start consuming the data, where you want to distribute this information to various members within the organization or outside, so where you go and visualize. So typically business analysts iterate through this process again and again till it becomes completely perfect, or where we are able to complete a complete data story within an organization. Coming to the first step of basically sourcing the data. So what do we mean by sourcing the data? So sourcing the data is basically, as I said, like we'll connect to the data sources and bring the data into the platform. Now, one of the most important aspects for any kind of analytics or data story to begin with is to understand your inventory. When we say inventory in the data world, it means your data assets, your tables, your documents, every kind of information which is available within the organization. Now, out here, one of our goals as a part of the VDA, which is the Virtual Data Assistant, is to give you certain set of tools which can automatically go gather information from your sources, from multiple sources, be structured or unstructured kind of information, create a kind of a data catalog using AI and ML techniques, and then use generative AI to populate metadata information, to generate SQL kind of statements which could be used for various kinds of use cases, and also provide you a search ability which can help you do very varied search, which can be very specific to your use case, or can be also be varied, which can help you do searching across your data sets. To build that, what we have is we have something called as an auto data catalog feature. An auto data catalog feature of VDA, what it does is it provides you a way where you can connect to your source systems, get various metadata information from these source systems, generate metadata information more on top of this metadata. So it is metadata on top of metadata, which can help you to do data classification, where you can provide certain kind of information. It will help you to do data governance, understanding how this data is getting populated, who's the ownership of the data, etc. And also help you do searching and doing cataloging across various data sets within your organization. Okay. Now I'll switch over my screen to the demo, and then we can go through the specific set of features which are related to our data catalog. So this is the homepage of VDA. Basically, it's basically a tool which can be installed within your organization. You can have any kind of an infrastructure. You can host it in your something like in Azure. You can host it on public clouds like AWS, Google, GCP, etc. Or if you want to host it within your own data center, you can even host it out. We run on top of any kind of a Kubernetes cluster, and we also support Docker and Docker based Kubernetes clusters and something like maybe Docker Swarm, etc. The first step, as I mentioned, is we have something called as a data source. Now, a data source is basically an entity like what Gert mentioned during his first presentation, is that like where you can collect various multiple elements which are together, or you can imagine something like a source of your data. Right now, as a part of the tool, we support multiple data sources. We support mostly all type of SQL-based sources like Postgres, SQL Server, Oracle, Hive, MySQL, etc. We also support something like Kafka, and there are certain set of more connectors which are due for release in the next release, which is coming up in the next week, where we are coming up with a structure connectors which can connect to something like a Tableau. It can connect even to file systems, etc. So as a user, you can just go fill in a very simple information. So you select the data source of your choice. You select the information from where you want to get the data from, select various, given a username and password, and it's done. And you create a data source. A data source looks like something like this, which consists of something called as data sets. Data sets are nothing but called as, you can imagine, like data products, which contain elements or which contain assets related to a particular data source. So if you are connecting to something like a Postgres database, your data source becomes a Postgres database, and your data sets becomes the tables inside those on basically tables inside that particular source. Now, as a user, you are presented with a catalog kind of a feature. We have an extensive search where you can see your data assets across the various data sources which you have connected within your organization. You can do free search, like something like if I want to search account related information, you can search on based on like so which all tables. It will give you basically what all tables or data sets which have account related information, and will give you that kind of a result. It also gives you a score which basically tells like based on your search query which one of these tables are much more relevant. Now that becomes really useful or a handy tool for a business analyst, where once he starts sourcing the information, he wants to see where particular information lies in. So, for example, as a user, say as a business analyst, I want to create something like a customer lifetime value. So he can even do some kind of a random search where he can mention that I want to find out all the related tables where I can get customer lifetime value, and the system with its intelligent search is able to search through data sets which contain tables which can have certain columns which can be relevant to a customer lifetime value, and it can be across various systems. And so this kind of gives you a way where as a user you would be able to query using natural language and able to find out data sets or tables which are most useful to you. We also provide a feature where you can bookmark certain kind of tables so that you can utilize it later, and it will be provided in your bookmarks tab in your home page where you can easily reach that particular data asset. Now, moving forward, we as a particular data set, we'll go into what a data set looks like. Okay? So a data set basically looks something like this, which is basically has some bit of metadata information, has description associated to it, has tags associated to it, and it also has ownership associated to it. So data sets can be given as single owners and it can have multiple owners. It automatically fetches information like the foreign keys from the system. What are the data types which are available for these particular columns, etc. So as a user, you do not have to maintain spreadsheets, or you do not have to maintain data catalogs which are not consistent, or which where you have to depend on particular queries, or you have to depend on particular tool sets which are specific to a particular data source. Rather, you can have one entity where all your column information or your table information can be logged in. Now, as a user, you can be able to update various informations like descriptions, etc. Also, what we do is using the power of generative AI. What we do is we provide a very unique feature where you would be able to generate metadata automatically based on your column level information. Now, what it does behind the scene is it uses the column metadata information which is available. So, for example, account ID, customer ID, account type, and also uses a very small snippet of data, like one or two records. It hashes it so that you get the data security, and it uses the Open AI framework to generate a text based on your column name. Now that significantly reduces down the effort and the time which a business analyst spends in generating descriptions for tables. It's very difficult within an organization to find out what specific columns or what specific table mean. By using this kind of a feature, this your the whole pain of a business analyst to go through collect information can be solved in a matter of seconds by just generating metadata information based on your column names, the and certain set of values. It can also become very specific where, for example, if you see it the opening date, it is able to identify the data format. Also it understands that your data format is in your date format is in particular format like a YYYY MMDD, and also get you information like, for example, your account type can be of savings or checking. Again, without having a lot of information with the business analyst, the system automatically gets this information, utilizes it, and generates the information for you to utilize. Now, moving forward, now we'll go to the next set of features. Now, the second step is to build in a data story. Now, when we say build, the build part of building any kind of a data product comes by first doing a search, which is NLP based search, as I was mentioning, where we did a customer lifetime value kind of a search, and then we want to model kind of a certain kind of data. Now, modeling of data typically means is basically where we want to create a new data asset, or we want to create a new data product using certain kind of business logics. Now these business logics can be fairly functional, or it could be used to build a logical data model. Now within a data story, it always comes that using the base set of data assets like or the data tables, you create certain data models which are logical in nature, and those logical data models then convert itself to a physical data model where they are actually saved in a database, or where you do an ETL and store it within the system. Now, as a part of VDA, what we do provide is we provide you a way where you can build data products by using logical data models, where you can define your data models. And we also provide you a way where you can ingest these data models, or you can ingest any kind of data sets using our inbuilt ingestion framework. Now, the ingestion framework currently focuses more towards the big data platform, where by default we ingest in a big data platform. But going forward, we would be supporting multiple destination tables where you can actually publish your information in any database of your choice. Now let me go back to the demo now. Now, typically a data model starts with going and creating a data set. Now, you can go create a set within any kind of a data source. Now, when you create, it actually doesn't go and create, but it is logical in nature. Now, as a part of the demo, I already have one data set. So this is kind of a data set which is called as a customer MDM, where we want to create a table or a logical data model which will act as a master data model for our customers. Now we have something called as a transformation tab, where basically what you can do is you can define your transformations. So as a part of the tool, what we do is we provide you a way where you as a user can create a schema of your choice. So for example, out here we defined that we want a new logical data model which should have a column name, say customer ID, fill in the various information like the data type, the description, etc., if the data should be nullable or not. And you can keep on adding columns to it, you can keep on adding more information related to it. Like for in this example, we have created a data model logical in nature, which has customer ID, name, age, gender, account ID, and account type. Now we have another field called as a customer mapping, where basically what you can do is you can define how these values should get populated to it. So what we provide is we provide a way where you can do a search and add of tables within your system, and you can mention from which column this particular information to be taken. Now, for example, out here in the R logical data model, we define that a customer ID should come from a customer table where the column name is say customer underscore ID, and there is no logic. We should directly just do a map on that. Similarly, say an account ID should come from my accounts table, and I should the column name required for it is account ID, and we can mention as a part of a logic that I would we can just write something like do a left join accounts on customers and customer ID. Now this is typically a kind of a template of or a format how a business analyst defines a logical data model. He typically builds in such a way that he writes it in plain English, where he wants to express his logic without writing a SQL statement or just defining that this is how it should behave like. So we provide a way where you, as a business analyst, you can document everything in this particular tool set. Now we provide various other features where you can do an import using an Excel. So if you have your own logical data model prepared on Excel sheets, you can do an import to that. We provide various kinds of versioning to that. So if you make any edits to this, you can have multiple versions associated to that. And once you are sure with like this is the data model of which is most suitable to you, you can even publish it and share it with other co-members, or you can share it with developers who can utilize it for coding perspective, etc. Now here we have a cool feature which is called as a generated SQL. What it does is, uh, again, you as a user, once the business analyst has defined the transformation, as a user, you can just go and click on the generated SQL button. And what it does is using again the AI and the cognitive AI approach, what it does is it automatically starts creating a query or a control table expression using those transformation. So what the journey out here happens is, as a business analyst, you just mention your intent in plain English text, and by using the generated SQL, it will generate the query for you. So it automatically generates using the natural language the query for you. And if you see that query is not fairly good enough, you can keep on working on your transformation, where you can mention, okay, instead of a left join, I should do a right join, and it will automatically generate the specific query for you. Now that significantly reduces the time for development, where business analysts have to depend on data engineers who will code it for them. then then the data engineers come back with their own set of responses, then the business analyst again changes, etc. Rather, out here the business analyst himself can get the generated code and utilize it, the tools of your choice. Most of the SQL based tools support control table expressions, so that works out of the box. And we have a very good integration with Spark also, where this particular set of queries can be fired inside a Spark based environment, and it will work out of the box. Okay. Now, another feature which we have as a part of your build is basically to do ingestions. Now, as a part of ingestions, VDA provides an easy way for the business analyst to create ingestion pipelines of your choices. Okay. Now, ingestion typically is a very data engineering kind of a concept where, as business analysts typically have to depend on skilled data engineers or have to depend on other tool sets where they want to do ingestion. Whereas the way what we are trying to perform the ingestion is basically provide a templated where as a user or a business analyst, you just mention how you want to do it, your ingestion. Typically, ingestion revolves around three types: a full refresh, an incremental, or an historical load. And you just fill in this particular form and it will perform the ingestion for you. So, for example, if we want to do an incremental ingestion, you can mention what is my primary key, what is my incremental key, etc. And through the power of metadata, which we have already captured using our sourcing tool, you would be having rich information: which column should be used as an incremental column, which column should be used as a primary key column, etc. And it will further reduce down the time it takes to actually get from search to insights within hours, and reducing down the dependency from a developer standpoint, where business analysts have to depend on developers to do ingestion related activities, to do various kinds of coding related activities, be it a SQL based activity, etc. So that further reduces down the time to build a data story. Now, data asset, I think Gert has already covered a little bit of what we mean by data mesh. And as he was mentioning, that a data asset by nature should be discoverable, should be self-describing, should have metadata, should be interoperable, should have self-code associated to it. So if you saw our data asset or the data set, what it had is it had all the features which are kind of required to build a data product, which typically builds a whole ecosystem of data ecosystem of a data mesh. Now, as set of features, what we saw is we have a mapping template, we have an ingestion template, we have a documentation process where you, as a user, you can create your own set of you can create your own set of logical data models, publish it, share it. We also have a discussion board where you would be able to discuss various elements or changes which are happening within that particular data set, and you would be able to have a kind of a collaborative way like a Jira or like a project management tool where users can come collaborate on specific data products and upload specific set of documentations, etc. Now, the third step of creating a data story is on analyzing the data. Now, when we talk about analysis, the business analyst does various kinds of analysis. First step of analysis could be doing a search, going through the data, having a preview of the data, etc. Then the second set of analysis could be where he wants to work or have a work field where he wants to work on various kinds of activities. Now, as a part of the virtual data assistant, we have come up with certain kind of workbooks. Now, what are workbooks? Workbooks are basically tool sets or features or giving some handy tools to our business analysts where they can perform certain activities with ease, which otherwise may take them a lot of time, or provide them a documentation method where they can document certain things. We have three kinds of workbooks: a SQL workbook where business analysts can store their SQL statements. It has an ability of text to SQL, where basically using NLP, what we do is if you can provide a text, it will convert it into a SQL, and then as a business analyst, you can run it, preview it, and can store it and share with other users. Then we have something called as a document book, which basically provides a way where you can upload any kind of an unstructured data like a PDF or a set of PDFs and ask questions related to that particular set of documents. Now, it typically helps the business analyst to perform various activities where he has a lot of unstructured data and needs a mechanism of identifying how to query that particular unstructured information. And then we have something called as a data quality workbooks, which basically are called as expectation workbook, where as a business analyst, you can mention what kind of data quality rules or data quality things you want to perform on your data sets, and you can build test cases and you can run test cases with ease out there. And going back to the demo piece, so we have something called as workbooks. Now, as a user, you can go create a workbook of your choice. When you do click on the workbook, there are three types of workbook which come up: a document book, a query book, and an expectation book. Okay. Now, the first step, like I would go through, is a BA query book. Now, a BA query book typically looks something like this, where at the BA you can go and write some kind of a statement which is more like an English statement, and it can convert a SQL for you. So, for example, I want to find out who my top 10 customers are. So what the book can do it for you is that given an English kind of a statement where you mention top 10 customers, it will perform an NLP activity and give you a result which is a SQL as a as an output for the same. Now, what it does behind the scene is it will go use the OpenAI framework where it converts the statement like a top 10 customers and generate a query for you. And that query can then be utilized or saved by a business analyst to perform various kinds of analytics. It can be used for maybe which can be kept for say future analysis perspective, or it can be used for certain steps like where you want to share these analysis with some other users. But the idea is that using an NLP statement, you create a specific SQL which can be used for further analysis. Then we have something called as a document book, where as a user you can upload certain set of documents and you can ask some kind of questions related to it. Like for example, out here I uploaded a standard operating procedure for a particular bank document where you can have a PDF uploaded. You can upload a single PDF or you can upload multiple PDF and you can ask questions to it. So for example, out here, I have asked a question like, what is the process to update the ministry? And what it does is it goes through the document, gives you a generated answer based on that document and replies you back. Now, that kind of significantly again reduces down the effort for a business analyst where he has to go through pages of documents. Rather than that, he can just upload the information and ask questions related to it. So any kind of so the query book which is being created, it kind of performs in such a way that it is language agnostic also. So you can ask it in the language of your choice, and what it will do is it will also reply you in that. So if you saw, if what I did as a part of the demo, I asked a very specific question that if I perform a transaction today, what is the maximum time I should receive a response? And what the system did is like it went through the document, understood the document, and answered back saying that you should receive the response in 4 working days. Now, as a part of this document, you may not even find that a very exact statement out there, but somewhere behind or somewhere downstairs, it would have it interprets that as a part of the process, it takes T to T4, T plus 4 days to perform the transaction. And by asking even very specific question, it is able to respond in time with this particular very specific answer. As I said, it is language agnostic. So even if you ask it is something like in French, it will reply you in a different in the language of your choice. So for example, if I ask the same question in French, it will answer me maybe something in French on that particular. So for example, I cannot understand French, but this is what it would answer there. So if you answer it in question, push and question in Hindi, or you push it in question in an Arabic format, you would get a response in that particular format. Now that becomes another very handy tool for our business analysts to work upon. And the third thing what we have is we have something called as an expectations. And expectation is basically a templated way where as a business analyst, you can select certain expectations. We have two types of expectation. There is a templated expectation and there is a custom expectation. Templated expectation, basically we have a database of some around 100 type expectation, and expectation looks something like this, where you can have something like given multiple columns, expect all its value to be unique, expect column values to be not null, given a column name, verify the values are between two values, etc. You can select an expectation, select the database of your choice, select the table name, define the columns on you want to run the expectation on, and you can create an expectation. And once you have an expectation, you can have a book generated out of it, and you can even preview the results out of it. So for example, out here, what I did, I created an expectation which I wanted to say that particular set of columns should not be null, and it kind of runs the templated way for you. So as a business analyst, you do not have to write very hefty queries. You can just give your intent that this is what I want as a part of my data quality, and it will build it for you. Now, the fourth part of the completing the data story is something on the visualization side. Now, once you have sourced the data, you have built, you have done some kind of an ingestion, you have built your logical data model, you have performed certain kind of analysis, maybe tested the data, created a work document book where you may be creating an SOP, or you are working with certain documents, and also you have done certain kind of expectations, or you have stored certain secrets. The fourth part comes is when visualizing the data. Now here we have come up with something called as an auto dashboarding feature, where using natural language you can build dashboards. Now, if you see the whole life cycle of a dashboarding tool sets which have been available in the industry, they typically revolve from having from low code to some doing something like a zero to a drag and drop, etc. Now we are making it one step further. Again, these are work under progress. So the accuracy still may be somewhere around 60 to 70%, but it generates, it basically here the goal is that without doing anything or doing a zero effort dashboarding, where you just provide a KPI and the system is able to generate a dashboard for you. When the dashboard comes, it also needs to be a little pretty. We need various kinds of graph. So we are coming up with features where you would be able to even mention certain kind of charting styles, where you can say that I want the chart to be based on this. I want to be a particular chart on a specific way. It can mention that. And then it comes on a collaboration feature where you want to share this particular set of dashboard with multiple users, or multiple set of people who can use or visualize this particular dashboard with. Right. Now, this is our dashboard set of features where you as a user can go create a dashboard of your choice where you mention a title. You select a database of your choice on which you want to create a dashboard, and you can build dashboards on top of it. A dashboard looks something like this, where this is a pre-built dashboard where as a user you would be able to see certain set of charts, etc., which have been created, and you can even add multiple charts to it. Now this is a sample banking dashboard which have been created using NLP, and you can populate the KPIs, etc., of your choice. You go there, you can mention a statement, something like I want to find out gender wise savings amount. What the system will do is, again, it will it will translate this particular statement into a SQL query, will generate a SQL query for you, and that SQL query will then be converted into a dashboard, where that particular KPI will be added into the dashboard of your choice. Now, again, the use case, what we are trying to solve out here is to move from a drag and drop dashboarding feature to more like a auto generation of a dashboard. Now, once you do a KPI like this, what it will do is it will create that particular chart and will publish the same inside the dashboarding part, where it will go create that and will publish it. So it will create something like a gender wise savings amount and will do that. Now it automatically does it for you. You as a user do not have to find out what columns, what set of tables I should do. It will automatically find it for you and will populate the dashboard.